Welcome to Your Spiritual Besties podcast. I'm Lauren Leduc.
And I'm Rashida McCoy. We're here to laugh, cry, learn, and connect with you.
We discuss anything and everything from our everyday lives to the magical, mystical, and woo-woo.
So take a deep breath, grab a cup of tea,
and set an intention to receive, because you deserve it, bestie. Hi, Rashida.
Hey, Lauren. How are you?
You know what? I'm really excited because we're doing a reading today.
Yay! It's been a minute, so I'm excited too.
Yeah, it's been a minute since you and I have done this together, probably a couple months, right? We've been having them on the pod, but we don't always record things sequentially here. And personally, I haven't given a reading in a couple months. It probably was when we did it together. I've been kind of giving my upper chakras a rest, and it felt really good because we go into meditation and kind of start the reading before we're actually with the client. It felt good and like more easeful to go into it today. So
yeah, you don't feel drained or tired. You've had that
no,
break. Yeah.
I kind of I don't know. Well, we're not going to go into it right now, but we just got back from a trip too, and I think I had a chance to nourish myself and have some space a little bit too. So it just came a little more easily today. And I think my expectations around it were just different of like, you know what, whatever comes, it doesn't have to make sense. And we'll see how this goes. So I'm really excited for this reading.
Me too. I kind of had the same vibe. Like, I feel like before I wanted a certain outcome, not like to like make it happen, but I think I kind of wanted it to like sound a certain way and be a certain way. And I don't know, like I have done a few readings and I've just been like easily like coming to this place of like fully surrendering to like whatever the heck source is showing me and just allowing it to like unfold, even if it doesn't make sense to me quite yet. So I'm really excited about this one and excited to be doing this with you and excited about our guest that we have on today. So yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, we have a sister on with us today, Vanessa. Vanessa, thank you so much for allowing us to read your energy today. And we'd love to know just a little bit more about you. Who are you? What do you do? Where are you from? And what are you hoping to get out of this reading today?
Oh boy, such loaded questions for me at this particular time. Where am I from? I was born in California. I moved around a bit, but New York City really kind of molded me and made me who I am today. So I am a city girl with California sunshine soul is how I like to think of it. Yeah, currently I am floating. I am floating around. I have been in the UK and Europe since October, and I've just been kind of seeing where the universe takes me, which is not at all something I have ever done in my life. I have usually just kind of worked and stayed in one place and really just kind of I've never just been like, what am I doing next week without knowing what I'm doing for the month. So this has been really beautiful and challenging and terrifying and wonderful. What were the other questions? What do I do? Well, I used to nanny for a long time, and work with families and work in households. And currently I am doing tarot readings, and I got certified for embodiment work. So I've been doing some of that and just kind of really delving into my spiritual practices and into myself. Yeah. Was there another question? Did I hit it all?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all that. We'd love to know like what you would love to get out of this reading. Like what would be your ideal outcome today?
I would love to get outside perspective from people who are tapped in, such as yourself, and just see kind of, I'm really curious to see what I'm struggling with or what I'm working through, and how that showed up for you guys and what advice you can ping back to me. So it's kind of like universal telephone happening. So I'm
I love that.
yeah, I'm just really excited to see what knowledge I can gain about myself through you guys, you know.
Yeah, I think that's so funny. Universal telephone. That's totally what it is because it's not like, you know, I have done readings before where I'm like sitting and channeling, and I feel like that's pretty direct. But a lot of times when we do these, we're using our intuition. So they come as images, they come as like scents or sounds, and a lot of times they don't make sense. So it feels like playing telephone when we're telling you what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And I'll also add for a reading, sometimes things do like really click and make sense in the moment as the receiver, and sometimes they don't. And that's okay. Either way, it's okay. It's something that still creates some sort of shift in you, and it's something that later on might click into place if that does happen. And I say this because I recently received a great reading, and a lot of it I really had to I'm still digesting, and it's been like a month and a half since the
Mhm.
reading. I'm still like letting it roll over a little bit, and not everything landed right at the moment. So I felt the need not only to tell you that, Vanessa, but just tell our besties that in case it's something they're interested in, because it's not a very masculine practice.
No,
It's
it's
very
not.
feminine. It comes in kind of wildly at times, and
Yeah.
and it's not always linear. And it's like, okay, we're gonna let this roll around and have some time. And honestly, this theme of like time and patience is a big part of your reading, at least from me today. So I had felt the need to add that in before we really get into it. Anything to add,
Yeah.
Rashida?
Yeah, you touched beautifully on all of that. I want to say our readings are unique because it's almost like you're getting two readings in one setting. So it's a lot of information, and we have a lot of beautiful moments where Laura and I's readings come together and we kind of get like the same exact thing. And then we also have times where we're getting different messages. And so it's okay. All of it's okay again. And it's not one thing's not wrong or right. It's more of this is what source is telling us to spend our energy for you. And it's all right. And again, it might not all make sense, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can kind of think of like your soul as a many faceted jewel, right? And we're seeing specific facets, and each chakra
Mm.
even is a many faceted jewel. And,
Yeah.
we might not personally see every single facet. We'll see whatever is meant to be revealed to you through us. So it's really fun, kind of how it comes together. So we can get into it. Rashida, did you go crown down or root up?
I went root up.
You went root up. Okay. I went crown down, but it doesn't matter for me.
I mean, it doesn't matter for me either. They don't really kind of feed into each other,
Yeah.
really. So we can start however.
Okay. Um, and
Why don't we start crown because those are more lighter and the other ones more heavier,
okay.
obviously, but I
Yeah.
had more information for the other ones. So
Okay. Yeah. And Vanessa, as we are giving your rating, if you want to stop us and ask questions, please do. This can be very conversational. And if you, um, we'll probably pause and ask you questions too to gain some clarity, and then we'll see what comes like through that. I also wanted to ask, are you familiar with the chakra system? You're
Yes.
well
Yeah, I
acquainted?
am.
Okay. Okay. And for our listeners, we probably won't go into a lot of detail what each chakra is, what it means, but we have lots of episodes on that. In particular, we have one that's all about the chakras. Maybe we can link to it in our show notes, but if you need a refresher, I'd go back and listen to that and then listen to our readings because we'd like to spend more time going into depth and detail on Vanessa's rather than like the general chakra and what it is. So, Rashida, do you want to start?
sure, I can start. Hi, Gemma. Okay, I will I'm kind of going backwards, which is perfectly fine, but when I tapped in, Vanessa, I I have a certain area that I meditate and I see things and I connect with your energy. And it's almost like a bank. And usually when I look behind you, I can see like your spirit team, your guides, your ancestors. And typically when I have these readings, like I see them standing there and maybe like one or two will like pop out and I'll get some detail around them. But what was interesting about yours, your ancestors, your guides, like your team had this like air of like waiting for you. Like they were almost like the feeling I got was like an inhale, like a breath held, like trying to like wait and see. I also got this feeling that they were like they're rooting for you. So I feel like that means that there's like some shifts happening and some transformation coming about, that is having them like be on this like wait and see. So they were moving and milling about. Um, and I had this feeling like they're willing to like move mountains for you, but they were watching and waiting to see what you will do with the wisdom. And the term the wisdom came. I don't exactly know what the wisdom is, but it almost felt like there's this transitional moment that's happening. And I don't know if it's going to be like a day or a month or a year, but things are shifting and moving, and they're here to support you, and they're like rooting for you and just waiting to see what you're going to do with what you're going to be given. So be on the lookout for that. For the wisdom. I don't know. But yeah, awesome. So let's go to your crown. When I took a look at this energy, it was beautiful. Like your crown was very open, beautiful open crown of starlight and stars and like stardust, like all above the crown of your head, directly connecting you to source. You were always receiving and you were deeply connected to all that is. That was what I saw. That was what I felt. And then like something that came to me was it's okay to put the crown down. Just know that the connection is always there and should never feel like a burden, but more of a companion and friend. So when I got that, I wanted to ask you, do you ever feel like job is not the right word, but does it ever feel heavy for you to be connected to source, if that makes sense?
I was thinking about this not so much to source, but I was thinking about how when I'm in an environment, I am very, I mean, positive is kind of the word that would explain my personality, but it does feel very much like I'm very open to everything around me and just very, um, yeah, just very like in tune with like what I see and yeah, just kind of always open, like a gate that's just kind of always open. So I could definitely, I never really would have put it to like source, but I can see that because, I think there's a lot going on today about highly sensitive people, and how that can be either intuition or I guess trauma upbringing. So, at some point it's like, isn't it just both? Like, you know, I just feel like I've like tapped into my environment just in such a natural way that does feel sometimes very on, um, which has been really interesting now because I've been very secluded in my travels because I'm traveling alone. So I'm definitely more open to the environment, whereas before I feel like I was open to the people around me more. So yeah. Now I'm
Yeah.
feeling a little bit more open to myself.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I would like explore that relationship a little bit more. And like when you are saying like you're open to the environment, like does it feel like are you getting any like negative feeling around that? Like, and does it maybe feel heavy, maybe feel like you want to turn on and off? Like I guess what I'm saying is like there's an opportunity to create more
Mhm.
like flow and ease within what you're doing, even if it's, you're feeling like it's talking about your environment. I'm talking, I got source, but either way,
Yeah.
like whatever you're intuiting from it is exactly what it's supposed to be. To me, I'm getting the feeling that there's a little resistance. There needs to be a little more ease, like a little less oh man, I'm like struggling for the words, but I think you kind of understand what I'm trying to say. Like really looking that into that relationship that you're having, like with your environment now, and then also like maybe source as well. But know that it's okay to like close off or put it down or create a boundary because you should never
Mhm.
it should never feel heavy. Like it should just feel like a comfort and a friend. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that to work on the ease of it.
Yeah. How about you, Lauren?
Yeah, I'll definitely get back to that because I saw something kind of similar for the crown. So maybe the imagery will give a little bit more insight. But I will start actually, Vanessa, with your inner goddess. So that's who I work with. Sometimes guides will come through, I think, if they really want to be seen. But first, I pulled up your energy and asked for permission, and it was like really eager, like, yes, yes, please, please read me. So that was cool. Because sometimes people ask for it, but they still have this hesitancy inside. And then the reading's actually a little harder to do. So part of the ease was your energy. But your inner goddess is the feminine aspect of your highest self and how she manifests, like in visual form for me. And this one I've never seen before. It was really interesting. I saw like a castle with like a dragon flying around the castle. And the energy it was giving was very protected. Like your spirit is very protected, magical, even lucky. Like there's a sense of luck, I think with the dragon. And then there's this light within. Your soul is protected, therefore it's free to shine. So if there's ever
Mm.
like fear or hesitancy around that, just know you're very protected. And I don't know, I think the dragon and the castle are this representation of your own soul. But as Rashida said, you have guides who are like ready to come through and be of assistance. So you might consider the dragon one of those as well. I think it's meant to be interpreted however you wish to
Yeah.
interpret.
Well, that's great because it's the year of the dragon.
Yeah.
So I'll be excited to read kind of what that means for me particularly. And I am in the UK, so I have seen castles. It's been a very magical experience. So that's
Mm.
beautiful.
Yeah, I did think about how it was the year of the dragon this year, and I don't know a whole lot about that, but I'll add that the dragon wasn't this like super scary dragon, like breathing fire, anything like that. It was just like really easily flowing around the castle. Um, so nothing like dark there, just protected and
Mm.
magical and light filled. Also, I was talking to somebody in Costa Rica last week, and they were talking about dragons to me. And when there's two, it's a symbol of duality. So I wonder if I was to look at like the masculine and feminine within, if we might see two
Mm.
dragons. But um, yeah, don't really have a lot to add to that, just that I thought that was interesting. So I'll go to your crown. So what I saw for you was it very like Queen Elizabeth getting coronated. It was like a big, heavy ass crown with lots of jewels on it and like like a cape. Uh, what is it called?
Love
With
it.
like the white fur with the black dots in it.
Yeah.
Like a cape and like a scepter or sword, like a full on like
Wow.
ah. So that was really cool, like queenly necessary. But what I saw was you taking it off, like taking off the crown, taking off the cape, putting down the sword, because while that stuff is visually appealing and lets people know of your queenly status, it isn't necessary. Like none of us need any of that stuff to connect to source. So that might be up to you to interpret, but what I wrote next to that was carve your own path. So, did you grow up
Mm.
maybe with any like specific ideas around religion or around like connecting to God or even what God is?
No, actually, I was very fortunate in my opinion. that I was able to float. I went to a lot of different services. I went to a lot of different churches, Buddhist temple. I went to all my friends' things, and um, yeah, like I never quite found a singular religion that resonated. And definitely the past couple of months, I've been almost piecemealing from like different topics, and yeah, trying to really figure out like which one, if anyone, or you know what resonates with me and what I would like to keep, and what I would like to continue, like what traditions I would like. And yeah,
Yeah.
so that is something I've been really sitting with.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting, and how wonderful that you're able to really
Yeah.
explore that in your own. Um, the word that's coming to me, and maybe you said it too, Rashida, is just simplicity.
Mm.
So in my mind, I was thinking of this image of like the queen compared to like last week we were in the jungle and my daughter was just, and Rashida's too, they're just running around naked in the dirt, totally wild. And like that is just as connected, if not more so, than the whole formal show,
Wow.
Mm.
right? Um, I think it's kind of like you just being you is enough. You don't even need to add anything. You just do what feels good. There's no there's no right way to connect.
Mm.
So I think we'll just let you
Yeah.
sit with that since we both got similar messages. I think it's up to you. It's for your
Mm.
maybe mulling around or digesting in your own time.
Mm.
I love that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll travel down to your third eye. I don't know if you can see that, but it open AF is what it says. Bright. And then so I saw this beautiful, brilliant center shining so brightly, like to gaze on it was to be like mesmerized for me. Um, and then like as I was like, just trying to like intuit like what this is meaning. Like typically I see an eye or it's like half closed or open or whatever. I can kind of like understand what is going on with your third eye, how you're processing the
Mhm.
information that's coming through their source. I just got this word focus, like question, like focus. And so then a question came through, like, where are you still not trusting of your intuition? Oh, what does that look, Vanessa?
Yeah, no, that's yeah, no, I felt that. I felt that one actually. Um, yeah, I've had a couple incidences with in the in the love domain. Love is actually the wrong word. It would be the dating domain, which is not synonymous with love. Um, and and there was a lot of instances where I didn't listen to my intuition, and then there was some the past actually this past week where I just like got it right away, and I was just like, and I decided to like trust it, and I was like, okay, more trusting myself to like set a boundary, um, and then seeing where the chips land. So that was really that this week. Yeah, I've definitely been about like trusting my intuition, and I love that you said focus because I think that kind of implies like an actual direction and like directing
Yes,
your intuition,
yes, yes.
as
That's what I
opposed to
felt.
just, yeah, yeah. I
Yes.
think we all think of it as like, oh, intuition's like a bubble around you and you get it like in every direction. But really, it's like you have to like listen, focus, and then trust your intuition. So that was great. Thank you.
And I love that so much for you. Like, on here, it's your center is bright, it's open AF, like you got that thing. Like you know how to listen, you know what to listen for, you know what it feels like. You are so connected and your third eye is so open. Um, but you're like getting in your own way. So I love that you're saying I'm setting these boundaries, especially like in the realm of relationships. Like I get this reading, I have no idea what it is like implying to, but you immediately were like, oh yeah, I know exactly what this is talking about. And so girl, like just trust like what you're feeling, no matter what they look like and say and do and promise, like you know what it is you're feeling, what it is being whispered to you. Just lean into that, and it won't lead you astray.
Yeah. Good.
Well, I got something kind of similar but different imagery. What I saw was like a lighthouse, and it was like the light that was pointed was spinning around and around and around and around. And it just felt very like obviously bright and open, but like vigilant in a way that didn't feel calm. So when I was thinking of like allowing in more trust, it slowed down. And then instead of like just pointing one direction, it just kind of glowed all around you like a star. So it was like once you go into that self-trust, like it's going to work, it's going to be effective. All you have to do is shine. You don't have to be so like forceful or directive with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Again, like Rashida had the focus aspect, but this was like what you're speaking to is also the kind of, and again with the goddess guide, like letting it be, like letting myself just be enough, letting my, intuition just shine.
Yeah. It's like when you trust, you can already see all around you. You don't have to like try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt that. I've been feeling when you said like spinning a little haphazardly, I was like, yeah, I've been feeling that energy, kind of that mental, yeah, trying to see everything, which way, which direction.
Yeah. The good news is that like it's already there. So it's just a matter of like believing that. And I don't want to be like, oh, it's just that, because I know that's not always, it's sometimes easier said than done, but there's nothing blocking you.
Yeah, mine too. They're like you're good.
Yeah.
Good.
Which is as a tarot reader, like that's what you want, right? Like you want to have access. And I think maybe you lean into that and you trust that more, maybe with what you see. But when it comes, it's always like when it comes to us, like ourselves, sometimes it's a little bit harder to have that trust. Amazing. Anything else, Lauren?
No, I'm ready to go down.
Okay, let's go down. Okay, amazing. So when I got to your throat, I saw a lock over it. And like directly in the center, I could see like light kind of shining through around and like through the hole. And when I like pulled back a little bit, the key was attached to your right wrist. I immediately felt like yang energy, masculine. Look to the right for the key. So that was kind of like what I got when I looked into your throat chakra. And then some questions came up. Like your reading have been having like me channel a lot of questions for you. So what structures do you have in place to support you being the most authentic version of yourself? Then the other one was, what is your relationship with the more masculine aspects of your energy? You were laughing again.
Yeah, because it's just so funny. Like it's so funny because I'm literally, that is my focus for this month. Is I'm trying to like tap into the divine masculine. And part of that is structure, and I have none because I've just been so untethered, and I have no schedule, and even my sleep schedule is thrown off. I'm like nothing's happening at the same time, and I've just been feeling it. So this month, I literally last night I was like, I need to try and plan, even if I have like nothing to do. I need to be like, from like 3 to 6 I need to like schedule the next day and, like make dinner and go to the store. Like I need to start. That's so funny. Yeah, because I've been feeling that. Um, yeah, and how it relates to the throat chakra, like I'll be interested to kind of dive into that because I just thought being like kind of whimsical and traveling, like I thought I would like explode into this like other person. And what I've done instead is I've sunk deeper into myself.
Mm.
Um, and what does that mean to express myself fully, which I don't think I've ever fully done. So the lock is definitely appropriate because I do feel, you said a lock and I just thought like, like a chest, like a cartoon chest that's like wiggling, that like,
Mhm.
it's
It
got
wants
something
to
in
like the
it.
thing wants to come
Yeah, yeah,
out, but it's
yeah,
locked and
like
it
the
can't get
locked.
out.
That's
Yeah,
what like automatically just sprang to me. I was just like, yeah, like it definitely feels like I just haven't
figured.
like where the key is, you
Yeah.
know?
So I think, the key represents definitely that for me when I was reading you and getting this and seeing this, it definitely represents that masculine side. I believe that we slowly make changes into transformation. Sometimes it's immediate because we have to, like something happens and we have to like transform into this other version of ourselves. And then sometimes it can be very easeful, and a slow transition into this newer version of ourselves. I feel like you have a wonderful opportunity. Like what you're doing is amazing. Not everyone gets this opportunity. So when we think about still having that flow and really being in our yin energy and our feminine, and we're just kind of like free flowing everywhere, right? This is kind of like what you're doing. You have that ability to just like be in your yin energy, to do what you want and to like just go with whatever pulls you. However, we I feel like part of what's happening, and maybe the reason why you're not seeing the change that you want or feeling the change that you want, is you are just floating. You are not protected. You are not in, I don't want to say safety, but that's what's coming to mind. Like perhaps you're really not feeling safe enough to fully be like this most full version
Mm.
of yourself yet, because you don't have a container. And I even hate using that word because I don't want you to feel like you have to be in a box or in something, but you need to be held. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think Lauren and I talked about this like before we went on our trip, but when you think about like the masculine or even these structures, right? You're like, I'm going to like from 3 to 6, I'm going to write down what I'm going to do with my next day and this and that. Let's look at like your spiritual practices. What are your spiritual practices? When do you practice them? Is it a certain time of day? Is it like sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it's in the evening? Maybe if you look at that aspect, do you have a movement practice that you do every day? Do you meditate or connect with source every day? Are you journaling? Like you have the ability, I feel like maybe time to like really sit with these practices. Maybe that masculine energy is asking you to like pick a time in a day and really like focus on this and do this now maybe every day at 10 a.m. for you from 10 to 12 or whatever that looks like, to be more grounded, to be more focused, to be more
Mm.
directed, so that when it is time for you to like really be that person, you're coming from a more grounded place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have too much more for that. But yeah, I think looking at that masculine side and that divine masculine and the structure will be a game changer for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before I go into what I see, I'll add that sometimes, like, I'm gonna self-promote just a little bit here, but sometimes having a course or a teacher or just something to like create that container for you can be really helpful, especially if you're feeling a little untethered. So There are a lot of options out there, but I will say that I wrote a book that's out there. You can get it on Amazon UK for you. That's called Embody Your Inner Goddess. So it is this guide like to the divine feminine, but it's
Mm.
structured. So you have to set aside like 20 minutes to 30 minutes every day um, to do this work where it's like a reading and a reflection and embodiment practice. But I made that for people who are in your position who need that little bit of like structure and direction to get back into alignment. So just a little self-promotion there. Embody your inner goddess.
I
But
love it.
I know for me, there have been like courses I've done or books that I've read that have kind of helped me when I feel like I'm not exactly sure what to do, whether that's with movement or my sadhana, spiritual practice or whatnot. So just putting
I
that out
have
there.
to,
Yeah,
yeah,
go
I have
ahead.
to agree with you, Lauren. Like I never feel more like on top of it, more connected when I'm like taking a course or doing a training. Because it's directed, it's focused, like I'm being held in this particular container. So that's spot on.
Yeah. And part of the problem is like, what do I
Yeah.
do? You know, it's hard, like when you already are not sure, like that question can just make it more confusing and difficult. So I saw something really different for your throat. So maybe I saw the more like feminine side, but I saw like kind of a violent image almost of like a big slash through your throat or
Mm.
like scratches or claw mark. And it felt wounded
Mm.
to me. And the message behind that was it's going to just take space and time to heal, and you have to give yourself that patience. Um, every injury we have, like yes, while if we break a bone, we might need somebody to reset it, but ultimately it's going to heal itself. We give our injuries the conditions to heal themselves. Nobody's
Mm.
healing it for us. Our bodies know what to do, again, under the right conditions. Um, so I don't know what that looks like you for exactly, but it's basically you don't have to force it, and it requires a certain amount of trust that it is healing. So if you're feeling maybe like there's something broken in your area of your throat, of communication, of speaking, I think that what you're doing right now with the travel and the alone time is really good because it's giving yourself that space to reset in a way or to heal. Does that resonate at all?
Yeah, as soon as you said that, like I almost like wanted to cry a little bit because um one of the things I've been working on is like, obviously like inner child work, but I've been touching on kind of the teenage years, and just ways in which I feel like I would speak out and not be heard, or I did a lot of like singing. I really love musical theater, and just ways in which I would, perform or sing, but never quite be good enough. And, the ways in which just kind of layer upon layer, I just felt like, what I said wasn't important, how I sounded wasn't good enough, and just how like that kind of has led me to just kind of not do some of the things I loved,
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think wound is, an appropriate word for that.
Yeah, I totally feel you. Similar interests growing up and stuff. In fact, I have like a day that's dedicated to my voice and like that same feeling of like feeling like I was just losing it more and more with other people's opinions, other people's expectations, other people not listening to me. Um, and there's something extremely powerful about reclaiming your voice just for you.
Mm.
Like it doesn't matter what it sounds like, you know. And when I say just for you, I also mean like as a way to connect with the divine. Like, I love chanting and it doesn't matter how it sounds. And I do it in front of other people. And it's not to like provoke an emotional response beyond just this ability to connect and maybe an invitation for them to connect. It's very different. What I'm seeing is this like you already are enough. You already have this You already have the wholeness. And I believe this about everybody, but I'm seeing it within you especially. It's a matter of like trusting and believing that. And it can take time, and work and like really reframing or restructuring some of these like ideas that we have about ourselves. Um, so maybe I'll challenge you in this like gentle time to heal, to sing, and not for anybody. You don't have to put it on social media, but just see what it feels like, or even to hum. Um, there's a great breath called Brahmari or bee breath where you breathe in, you breathe out, you hum.
Mm.
Nothing else to it. You can just do that for a few minutes. It doesn't need to sound a certain way. It doesn't matter what note it is, nothing like that. And it is very healing. That vibration is very, very healing on an energetic level. So I would maybe ask you to explore things like that are gentle, that don't have a directed, they're not looking to provoke any kind of response from anybody else. They're just for you. Does that sound
Oh,
like
that's
something
great.
that would feel good?
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, I would definitely, the humming would be very nice
Yeah,
for that vibration. I'd like to, and I'm interested in the chanting too. So yeah, thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Heart?
Yep. Okay, so when I went into your heart, didn't get a whole lot, but I saw like your like heart center, this green like almost gem, but it was encased in like a hard plastic cover. I put protected. And then I had two questions that came through. What are your passions? What is holding you back from fully stepping fully into them? And I think this is a great tie into what like Lauren saw with your throat as well. But yeah, what are just like real quick, what are some of your passions? And then like what's holding you back from stepping fully into them?
Yeah. I, f- I feel like I struggle with this question, like, what are my passions? Because I feel like I have a passionate energy. Like I can get passionate about anything in the moment that I'm into.
Mhm.
Because, like a new project. I guess my question is always like, what's like sustained passion? But I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about connection and community, and I'm passionate about conversations, yeah, I mean, like those are, and those show up in many different facets, like
Yeah, for sure.
between like deep conversations with friends to, socially with new people, getting to know them. Um, I love doing the tarot readings because I just love how it can resonate and how, things pop up for people that just click. I mean, you guys know, like it's really fulfilling. And, I was passionate about like children and childcare for a long time. And I'm passionate about like mothers and women and
Oh, there's
community
book in
and,
there.
you know, um,
Yeah.
yeah, lots of
So
passions.
when we
Theater.
think about like where you are now, you've had a lot of time to yourself. What where do you feel the pull?
I feel it's not any one place or destination. It is definitely wanting to have community and have neighbors and have a network. Um, I think one of my greatest strengths is, like in high school, people had like cliques or people had, their groups of friends, and I was someone that very much pinged between people, which in one way meant that I didn't necessarily have like
That
a
core.
deep core clique, but in some ways I feel like I was able to feed many aspects of myself by connecting with different people. So, right now I'm trying to think about like where I want to root, you know, and however or wherever that is, I know that I want it to involve, having like strong friendships and community and volunteering. And I've been thinking about volunteering a lot actually the past couple of days. Like, how can I get involved with people, and how can I help, you know? Um,
So I know like right now you're in a time where you're kind of like nomadic and you don't really have your roots set yet. And your passion is around like people and those relationships and that community, that connection. But what you're doing now, is there anything that you think is holding you back from like making some of these connections now? Like really just going all in?
oh, fear, 100,000%. Um,
Fear
I'm
of?
fear of picking the wrong place, fear of, yeah, fear that I'm, going to be far away from maybe the people that I know and love in my life, fear that it's not going to work out, fear that I won't, you know, make this community or find the friends that I need. I think just the general fears that come with a big change.
Mhm.
And personally, I've been I've been really sitting with like my patterns and how I keep kind of going back to the same thing that doesn't serve me. And
Do you
one of the
mind
things that
sharing what that is?
yeah, I tend to have a pattern of working really, really hard, saving money, and then burning out and getting really resentful of my job and not feeling like I'm exploring other aspects of me. And then I quit. And then I live this life of like, you know, doing what I want, kind of going through my money. And then I panic. And then I go, oh my God, what do I know and what I know how to do well? And how can I make money? And then I go back to the same job and I do the same thing. And then I work really, really hard and I burn out and then I do it all over again. I've done this solidly for the past 12 years. Like I
Mhm.
mapped it. And right now I'm at the point where I don't want to repeat the pattern, but I don't know how to break it necessarily because, humans, we like to know, like, I know what I can do. I have proven track record of like how to make money and how to survive, basically. And I don't have proof that doing something new will yield me the same results. So that's what I'm sitting with right now.
Yeah, I feel that, and I feel like a lot of listeners can definitely relate to this. Um, for me, it just like comes back to like we'd have a great like Dharma coaching session, just you and I. Honestly, like I'm like, oh man, I would love to get into this a little bit more. But as far as the reading goes, when I think about like everything you just shared, and then like this hard plastic cover that's like around this center, um it's one of those things like you were talking about like your inner teenager, and we would get these little rings and these little things from stores, and it's in a plastic cover
Mm.
hard case, and it's like really easily to open, like we just have to open it, right? I feel like that's the feeling I'm getting is what's needed for you, to kind of like break this cycle. Like you have the power to like open yourself up, take this hard plastic case off, and really like explore and lead from what it is that you want to do. And what I mean by that, not just like a job, like you have the record, you could do any job, you have your skills, what's going to bring in you money, but it never works out because you're not leading from your heart in this. You're
Mm.
leading from your mind, and that survival instinct, like I need to make money, I need to get my hustle on right now, I need to do this. So I want to say like open up your heart a little bit, really feel into like these things that we just talked about: community, relationships. What does that look like for you? Are and I'm going to just like go to the side a little bit. Our dharma doesn't necessarily have to be like what we're doing to bring in money, but for you, I kind of feel like it is a little bit tied in. And that's not going to say you're not going to have to take a job to kind of help sustain you a little bit until you get to where you need to be. But lead from your heart when you start exploring and looking into like this next step for you. When you start getting that itch of like, all right, my funds are starting to get a little low. I'm starting to get a little worried. Like acknowledge the fear, thank it for being there and alerting you and letting you know that this is a thing. It is real. But then instead of like from the mind, lead from your heart. Okay, how can I go about doing this, making this money in a way that is going to feel like more aligned with my soul? We don't get taught that. We don't get told to do that. So it's a skill that we have to learn. We don't really have to, but we do have to learn it. We have to know what it feels like. And you're very intuitive. You're very open. So now that you're kind of like aware of this pattern, like I would say like lead from the heart a little bit more in your decision making processes. And again, that's that like masculine and feminine type of situation. I Obviously the masculine, they have heart too, but when I think of the heart chakra, I really think of like that yin energy. Lead more with that. See what comes through for you when you do that.
I'll add a little bit before I go into what I saw, in that, like, what would create the safety for you to lead with your heart, right? Because a lot of us, I think we have this vision of this soul-led career path, right? Where we get to do what we love and we're making money, which is great, but it's very, very hard to make that work when we're in like a fear or scarcity mindset. It just is. It's really hard, and it sucks the joy out of what you love doing as well.
For
So I
sure.
would ask, like, and you don't have to answer right now, but what would longevity look like for you and feel like? What would an integration look and feel like? Meaning you've been operating from this sort of all or nothing mentality up until this point where you work, 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 and then cut that off and you're just flowing. What does it look like to bring those things together so that you can live in a way that's a more like sustainable rhythm? So maybe that does look like doing what you know you can do to make money and do it well part-time while you also pursue your other interests, right? But figuring out what that looks like so that you can move from a place of safety so that you can take this casing off and be in your open heart. And what does it also look like to maybe be in these former types of work environments, whatever that is for you, as this full self, right? Where you're not only bringing like this one facet of you to the table, but you're like bringing your whole self and just letting it be known, right? Because that can be scary to do in like a corporate environment or in a like non-spiritual environment. But oftentimes, like that is what allows people to make the connections that they need to make to cross the bridge into like full-time, whatever they want to be doing. So just a few things for you to ponder, I think. I'll shift gears a little bit to what I saw because it was different. So first I saw this beautiful like English rose garden, like a fragrant, beautiful rose garden. And then I saw a child, probably like child you, just skipping through the garden, just happy and playing. And then she pricks her finger on one of the thorns. And from that moment on, it's like she's not appreciating or enjoying the rose garden anymore. She's just pissed off about the thorns, you know? Um, So what I was feeling with the heart was this sense of like acceptance and integration. And like, if you want the roses, you also have to accept the thorns, right?
Yeah.
Beyond that, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not exactly sure what that means. So I'd love to know like what and if that means anything to you, and what that might look like, accepting the thorns.
Yeah. I have a crazy story. I feel like
Okay.
I don't know if this is I went on a retreat and we did a cacao ceremony. And the cacao ceremony was very much about the divine masculine it was about like, the husband, the father. It was really beautiful. It was led by this man, and his wife was there with their like 18-month-old baby, and we were given a rose while we entered, and I had been playing with it, and I had pricked like all the roses, all the thorns off. And one of them apparently had landed in the cacao, and I drank it, and the thorn went all like through my throat.
Stop it.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you. And for the whole kind of ceremony, I was just kind of like, I was like, I have a thorn in my throat like,
My
the whole time.
God.
And I think about this often because it was just like, yeah, it was just this beautiful ceremony, and we did like this great meditation on like love and like the type of man you're calling in. Um, so when you said like, yeah, like this beautiful rose garden, but now all I can think of the thorn. I just think of like this thorn that I swallowed, and like, yeah, and just like, this is also like as we're doing this now is kind of like the anniversary of my breakup. So,
Mm.
so I've been thinking a lot about like I just started dating, and Rashida had mentioned like, kind of the heart being a little like encased, and it's like, yeah, it's like I do want to be like this beautiful, carefree, child who's open to love and open to, sharing myself. But I have been pricked, and I've swallowed a thorn. So now I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about roses at this point, to put it. So I really appreciate that imagery, Lauren. Good job.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, that seems spot on.
yeah.
And that I had, this image, and it wasn't complete, but of somehow like 'cause the throat obviously reminds me of what I was talking about in your throat, but like I had this image of like bringing the petals up to your throat somehow to heal
Mm.
it. So maybe it's like this is just an idea, but looking back at your former relationship, and it's easy after a breakup. Sometimes we either like romanticize the former relationship or we only like focus on the bad, right? And maybe it's time to also think about like the beautiful things that you've experienced in love with somebody, and to know that or something better is possible in your field, in the future.
Mm.
That's just one idea. There might be other ways to interpret that for sure, but like how do we give like the patience and the fragrance and that beautiful like receptivity um, that we get to experience with the beautiful parts of the rose to the injury to the
Yeah.
thorn. Mm,
Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah, I think that's up to you to ponder more too, because that story
Yeah.
is definitely aligned with all of this, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
relationships. All right, solar plexus, Rashida.
Yeah, we'll move to that. So I saw this when I looked into your center. I saw this bring yellow light with black blobs, big and small, like dotting it, this center. And like immediately, like the words courage and confidence came to me. And then as I was like really inspecting, like what is that type of situation? Your light was leaking or dripping from where these blobs were attached. So I was like, okay, like she needs a healing right now. So I performed a healing on you. I called on Archangel Michael to help me remove these. I call them leeches in a way to help me remove these leeches from your power center. And we took a trip to the underworld and sat in a medicine circle. You were giving a tea to strengthen your power center back. And you also cleanse yourself under the healing waters down there. Um, and so I didn't really have a question. There was just a lot of imagery that came through and just a healing that was needed for this center. But I want to just go back to the word leech that came back to me. Where are you allowing circumstance, people, or things to steal your power?
I think what I've noticed is I'm letting some of my bad habits, escapism being one of them. I feel like that has been um, a really big leech. And then again, with the kind of online dating, I feel like those are a whole bunch of leeches. Not the men themselves, but I feel like, the kind of energy that comes with online dating, the kind of like getting a text, checking your phone, seeing, who's out there, like scrolling, then like matching with someone and then like talking and then not talking and then ghosting. Like I feel like all that is just like very disempowering. And it's led me to like really really throw up some boundaries around that. Like, if we chat, we need like to meet up. Like, and I've been trying to then be like, how can I meet people in real life? And, I really felt like, yeah, I felt like that was just really disempowering for a lot of reasons, which I'm sure many people can relate to this day and age if they're
for
online dating.
sure. For sure. It stinks. I don't think I've told the pod, but I met Daniel online. But before I met Daniel, I had I'm there.
You had leeches.
I had some leeches. Yeah. Just some like what in the world type of situations. Like, so I totally feel that. And I love the fact that you were like, you know what? I feel like, you had to put this boundary up. Can you speak more towards like your escapism a little bit? Is it so that you don't have to like think about, work through, sit with the things that are uncomfortable?
Yeah. My escapism is reading and just basically reading mostly romance novels, which is ironic. Since the other leech has been online dating. Um, yeah, that's it. I think, I get sucked in and I want to finish a book, and I have that personality where I like to, if I start something, I want to finish it. Like if we're going to paint the house, like we're going to paint the house until 10 p.m. if we start at 6 a.m. I have that kind of a drive, except for things that have to do with myself, apparently. Um, so yeah, so I can see where that's it. That's the, it's I can then get caught up in something and then I don't have to think about anything else. I mean, that's basically,
Yeah,
that's
I feel that. I feel that. And you know what? Reading is not necessarily bad. I think it's interesting that you're like, oh, I definitely use this to escape. So I think for you, and this is for you to like just ponder later on, when you find yourself in those moments, what will help pull you out? If it's not to observe and think about the thing that you're trying to escape, what else can kind of like help upset or break that pattern that you have? Again, that's just like for your own, like, let me think about this. And because if we don't figure those things out, like we're just going to keep doing the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is like what I really love about chakra readings. It touches on every aspect of our life, and we've had some overlap for you. And I think a lot of things are going to like help unlock doors for you, like after looking at this and working through this. But really thinking about like if you find that you try to escape certain situations or certain things or thoughts, maybe jot down what that thing is and like continue about your business. But what can you do to like upset like that particular pattern?
Okay.
Yeah. Lauren?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I think I'll just go down to the last three, because they tie together into a lot of what you were just saying. It just feels right. So I won't go too deep into solar just because it was somewhat similar. I didn't see leeches, but I saw like a bright sun, but it was like glitching, like flickering. And to me, that just spoke to this sense of uh, times of doubt and like waning confidence. It's like, it's there, that you know how great you are at times, and then it'll be like, ooh, maybe it's every like ghost on on Tinder or something like that, or like feeling of rejection or whatever that might be. It makes you question, like, if you are good enough, whatever that might mean. So I think Rashida went pretty deep into that, so I won't touch too much more on it. What I was feeling though, as I was looking at that, was patience. And I'm going to go deeper into that with the sacral and root because this like sense of patience kept coming up. So as sacral, what I saw was this like night ocean with like some really deep emotions that are there in the depths of this dark ocean. And a dark ocean isn't a bad thing. It just means there's some mystery there. And some of these emotions are going to need to be brought to the surface and felt so that you can feel more of a sense of lightness and freedom because you have to feel them to transmute them, or what people say, feel to heal, right? Or you have to feel to release. And the more you distract yourself, the longer these emotions are going to live within you, and the more they're going to not surface, but they're going to maybe like appear distorted to you. Right? It's better to see. It's better just to like get it all out there and see. It's like cleaning out a closet. You got to make a mess first in order to put things back together. It's like we fear that mess in a way, even though like it's already a mess, it's just hidden away. So I'm not calling your emotions a mess, just using that analogy. And this can look a lot of different ways, but a lot of it is truly like sitting with it. So it might be sitting and closing your eyes and like just inviting whatever needs to come to the table and to let it fill you up, even though it can be scary. But it's never quite as bad, I think, as we think it's going to be. It's that fear of it that is worse than the actual like feeling of the emotions. And they won't last forever. They'll go away and they'll give you information. So maybe your body's going to need to move in a specific way. Maybe you need to like listen to a great song that evokes that emotion within you and like either just listen to it, or maybe you sing along, or maybe you dance to it. Maybe you need to go find a rage room somewhere and like smash a bunch of shit. There's a lot of different things, but you need the information first to know what you might do with it, right? So that's part of the process, and it's asking you to be patient with yourself in this process too, because this isn't something we do in an hour or something we do in a day. There might be years of things built up that need to be looked at. But if you take on the work earnestly and regularly, and that doesn't mean like, okay, now I'm going to spend all day, every day, like feeling my emotions. Like, no, you don't have to do that. You can still read your romance novels. You can still do your thing, but you do need to like schedule that time for yourself of this like ability to just be with you and heal and not have all of the distractions. But have some patience and grace with yourself in the process, and don't be afraid to also reach out for help. So that might mean a therapist, that might mean a coach, that might mean like a group of women that you belong to. Like there are sources of help out there that can like hold your hand through this process. And I'll go ahead and go to the root, and then I'll let you respond if you'd like to. I know I'm kind of coming at you with a lot of stuff, but for the root, I saw like strong roots, but it's like they're octopus legs just going everywhere, kind of searching. And the only like remedy I saw for that is like that it's okay and that it's going to take time and patience. You don't need to know right now where your roots are supposed to go. It's a learning process of discovery. I think as you work with your guides and like start to trust your intuition more, like we talked about, that you're just going to know, but you cannot force it. I also have some final messages for you, but I think I'll wait. How does that all land?
It lands. It lands very solidly. I I've been feeling impatient the past week or so. I just felt like I should know where I'm going. Um, at the same time, not wanting to commit to any one thing still. Um, and I think I even like just earlier today, I was like walking in the street and I was like, you know what, Vanessa, it's like it's okay to be scared about where you're going. It's okay to be scared about not knowing. Like you're allowed to be scared. It's a human feeling. And I just like literally on my way to H&M to look for boots, I was like, it's okay to be scared. Um, and the whole like the roots kind of just like up. Like, yeah, like I do want to find a place, but I don't want to just find a place to find a place, you know, like I don't want to just do something to do something. So, you know, what you said is just kind of giving me permission to still explore. And while that may feel uncomfortable, I think it's the right thing to feel, as opposed to feeling pressured to conform to something, to an idea I have in my head about where I should be or how I should live or, you know. So that's helpful. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to speak a little bit to, you've mentioned fear a few times in this, and you're right. I think sometimes in the spiritual world, we act like fear. It's like fear is the opposite of love and this and that. I don't feel that way about fear. I think it's a really necessary feeling, right? Whether, it's meant to protect us, whether or not we need it to protect us. We need it in
Yeah.
situations where our lives are on the line. Um, Bravery, courage, that doesn't come because we don't have fear. It comes because we have fear, but we take the action anyway, right? Like we do things while feeling fear. And you've been doing that through this travel and through this discomfort. And it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a good relationship with your fear, right? To be like, okay, I hear you. Thank you. I'm gonna do it anyway. And that's how we grow, you know? So as much as I dislike saying it, you're going to feel more and be patient with it, you know? And if you stop feeling fear and all of a sudden you're only feeling comfort, maybe it means you're in the right place, or maybe it means that you stop growing, right?
Mm.
So just know you're in like a big, like Rashida said earlier, you're in this big growth and transitional period right now, and you're going to have to hold fear's hand through it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's okay to take breaks. Read your
Yeah.
books, you know? We,
Yeah,
we we
no.
don't
I
need to like
decided to
be in that all the
schedule them.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I was like, there we
Exactly.
go.
All right, Rashida.
Yeah, so I will hit up your sacral and your root and we will get some final thoughts. Okay, when I went to your sacral center, I see a gift wrapped in gold paper with a black ribbon tied into a bow on top. I tried to open it, but it was knotted, and unable to open. And then what I received was, you are the gift. Your pleasure, joy, and creativity is your power. There is no need to seek anything um, other than your own pleasure. And then some questions that I had was, what creative ideas have you put on the back burner? Look at these and tend to the ones that are still calling to you. Your gift is already open. It's time to play. Um, yeah, how does that feel for you?
Yeah, no, that feels really really good because I've been trying to kind of get like my Instagram going, and I'm literally tapped into social media for maybe all of 2 seconds, um, because I just held off for so long. But one of the things that I've been trying to tell myself is like it should be fun, you know, like I mean, yes, I know it's work, like if you promote yourself and whatnot, but you know, making videos, posting pictures, like it should be from a place of fun. It should be from a place of like creativity. And, you know, people have a lot of ideas about social media if it's like, you know, evil or good for you. But at its core, it's social, and being social should be fun. Um, so I've been trying to really like reframe my thinking around it in that regard, and just kind of, yeah. Instead of something being hard, I'm trying to think of it as like, it's just a creative challenge,
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
Mm.
Amazing. Well, we are gonna go to your root, and I got a little different image than Lauren did, but essentially I started with an image of a dry, rocky landscape. And then over time, as I continue to like be like, what is the message here? What is this meaning? Over time, like lush grasses and trees and flowers started to grow. And I was like, okay, amazing. Like what do I need to see here? And then I got an image of an empty room, and little by little furniture was added to it. And then I received find the home within yourself, and you will never be without. Think about, what does safety mean to you? How can you create a space to feel secure enough to speak your truth? Um, yeah, and that's what I got for your roots as well. Before I say more, what does that bring up for you?
right away, the saying, wherever you go, there you are,
Mm,
So it's like, and I've moved around a lot, so much in my life. This is the first time I've moved around without like work or being in a completely different country. But I have moved around, and for me, it's like I can move in anywhere. I feel at home anywhere. I've worked in homes. So I think that's like definitely a strength, like to be able to like put myself somewhere and feel at ease. But I think you said the word safety. And so I think I just should really think on the difference between being comfortable and feeling safe.
mm.
Um, and I'm not sure I could tell you what that is right now.
Yeah, no worries. I really like you looking at those two and seeing the difference. I honestly, I feel really good about this reading for you. I felt like I got a lot more in your upper chakras, but also just like some great reminders in your lower chakras. um, you're, I just think, remember, like you were in this time, like this, like there's a lot of things happening and a lot of things moving, and a lot of you're being called to like move through, look at, inspect, figure out like a lot of things, and in a place where maybe you're not feeling super held, which is hard. Remember your power. Remember what your drive was to even set you on this path. And even though you don't exactly know where the path is going to lead you, just remember that you have everything you need. And I know, I feel like we say that often, but it's like, it's so true. Like, don't look outside of yourself much, because you don't need to. And just remember, like, even if you are feeling a little ungrounded or unrooted, maybe not quite safe, like, remember to turn in. Like, that's not a bad thing. Turn in,
Mm.
and like, you have support too. Like, you can reach out to people. You might not be able to get like an in-person hug, but you can definitely get like a virtual hug, and some words of encouragement. And just remember, like, you still have those resources, even in a place where you're feeling very, very lonely. And this just might be your like era where you're like really needing to do some internal work, and you have the space and the time to do it.
Mm.
Yeah, thank you. I do. I do. Yeah, and that's why I chose this, I
Yeah.
chose it for those reasons.
And it's
Um,
okay that it's hard. Like, it's okay. Like,
yeah.
you know, amazing. Lauren?
Yeah. Some final messages from your inner goddess are time and patience are your medicine right now. Space and feeling need to occur within this time. You're on the right path, but the way forward isn't revealed just yet. And Rashida and I think we've used this imagery before, but it's kind of like you're moving and the next step or the next stone won't appear until it's ready, so you have to trust that it's coming and just enjoy the step that you're on at the moment. Also, when Rashida was talking, I had this sort of metaphor. I'm a yoga teacher, and I teach postures, but there's also the transitions between postures, and those are just as important, if not more so, than the postures themselves. And I think of this time of transition for you in that, like, yeah, it's just as important as knowing where you're going to land.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's a sacred time, and you can put all of your intention into this space, not fully knowing where you're going yet, and that's okay. And what a gift to have this space.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
It really is like, Rashida and I, we're on this path. I think we try to do as much introspection as possible, but we are also beholden to children and
Yeah.
families and jobs and, so
Yep.
many things that demand our time. So to truly have like the space, it can feel daunting, I think, but it's a gift, and you're not always going to have that probably. So I would just soak it in as much as possible right now. Um, I'm sorry, Jen was like, I need to go poo poo. You want to sit on the potty?
Everybody poops.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, you already pooped. Okay.
She's letting you know.
Yeah. Thanks, baby. I'll fix it in just a minute. So, Vanessa, I'd love to know, like, what are a couple of your biggest takeaways from this time together?
Oh my goodness. Trying to think back with my top down. I think some of my biggest takeaways is how open I am, how intuitive I am, how I can tap into that. I think the throat chakra imagery was really helpful, both of yours, between the wound and the lock. And then again, like the patience, I think the patience has just been something that I've been, again, just scared to sit with and to be with. And this came up earlier, like in December, where I was feeling very like I should be going and doing the thing and picking a home and, finding the purpose. And then I got really sick and my whole body was like, I couldn't do anything. So, to hear you say like to be patient and to appreciate this time is just a reminder that, like, yeah, it's things are happening and I might not be seeing it. But then just to trust that what needs to happen will. So, and then also the masculine, like the bringing that kind of container or structure to allow me to, be held and feel safe, I would say is all that is kind of what I took away from that. And just how deeply intuitive you guys are. So,
Aw.
and how, yeah, just, I loved having, you know, the two of you kind of cross-reference me in a way, because it was just, yeah, like you said, like, multifaceted, and each one kind of spoke to a different part of my soul, or to a different issue that has been with me. So that was really special.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing and your takeaways. I personally enjoyed doing this reading. It felt really, really good. And I did want to leave you with something, and this doesn't usually happen, but the month of July keeps coming up for me. I'm not getting any other messaging around why July is important or significant. So just kind of like be aware something may happen in July.
Okay, great.
Okay. I just want to
I'm
leave it
excited.
there. Yeah, I didn't get a feeling I got July. So yeah, let us
Okay.
know what happens in July.
I will. I'll let you know in August. I'll be like, hey, you remember July?
Well, I love it. Thank you so much, Vanessa. It was a pleasure spending time with your energy and a pleasure spending time with you as well. And I know a lot came up, so I hope you get to kind of look over the notes and look over or listen to this as many times as you need to and get whatever you need out of it. But you are beautiful. You have a beautiful soul. You have so much good stuff going on. And I think that the main messaging is just to really like trust in that. And I think like your vibration is going to attract whatever is meant to be attracted to you.
Thank you. I attracted you guys, so I win.
Well, hey, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, besties, for listening. We love doing these readings. So if you are listening and this sounds like something you might want to have in your life, listen to that intuitive nudge and please like DM us on Instagram because we are always looking for people to read on the pod. If you want something more private, that's something that we can arrange too. It's part of our businesses, and we love being able to assist you in this way. Energy work and reading is so important. I think that we're always looking for physical answers and mental answers to things. And sometimes we also need to go into the soul, into the energy to really get at the root of things. And then we know what actions to take on more of a mental and physical and an even emotional level. So we'd love to help you out. Rashida, beautiful job as always. I miss doing this with you.
So glad we got to do this. And Lauren, your wisdom and how you tie everything together and bring everything together is always amazing. You are such a gift. Thank you so much, friend.
Well, thank you, friend. Love you. Vanessa, thank you so much. Thank you, besties, for listening, and we will chat soon.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible episode. If you loved it, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and tell all your besties about us.
You can also connect with us on Instagram at Your Spiritual Besties Podcast, and be sure to say hello and share your thoughts about the episode. Love you, bestie. Talk soon.